This episode is an adrenaline ride from beginning to end, all the little pieces setting it up that end up paying off in this very episode. There's so many little moments, so many important little camera angles. We're going to look at every single one of them here. Let's jump in to episode 8. Our episode opens back on Gorman in the city of Palmo, as we see just this beautiful skyline shot, kind of giving us the sense of the city. You can hear the sirens going on in the background. This is what happens when people are under curfew, under lockdown. The city isn't alive like it once was. It's under occupation. As Cassian is putting together his blaster rifle to take a shot at Dedra, he hears something outside, and when looking out his window, he sees that all the barricades are being moved and shuffled all to the front of their building. Cassian calls Will and says they're building a fortress, but all the Gorman front can see is that the square is now being opened back up. But this is all just an invitation. Some are gonna see it, some are not. From the very moment that I turned this episode on, all I could hear was Admiral Akbar ringing out in my ears.
It's a trap!
Dedra is back in her safe room talking to Pendergrass, and there's one line that Pendergrass says that kind of just sums this whole thing up. Our struggles with Gorman have been well documented at this point. The only thing that matters is Gorman aggression. This is exactly what's going to happen. As the Empire pulls back, who fills the void but these Gorman agitators, these Gorman rebels, because they think that they're going to be able to accomplish something. They think people are going to listen. And pretty soon we're going to be hearing for a lot of the episode them chanting something that they think is going to make a difference. But really all that's happening is they're falling into the trap that the Empire has set. But did you notice how Dedra is trying to almost like walk back the plan? She's a little anxious or worried or nervous about what's going on. I think there's a few things happening here. One, she's not really in complete control. She wants to be in charge. She wants to be in control. And when she isn't the one making the decisions, it just feels chaotic. It feels out of control. It feels dangerous to her. I think the other side also, though, is I think she's worried what's going to happen with Sirill. I think she's concerned that all the lies starting to pile up are now coming to fruition. And now the day that she didn't really want to think about is here, where Sirill's going to learn the truth. And as the Gorman rebels get ready, you can see them charging blasters and getting Molotov cocktails ready. They're going to be going to this ready for a fight, and that's exactly what they're being counted on for. But it's the way it's all being presented to the galaxy that I think makes this scene really interesting.
A continued and inexplicable Gorman resistance to Imperial norms. Many people, even some Gormans, have already been asking how long the Empire's patience can be tested. And here we are this morning.
The inexplicable resistance to Imperial norms. It just is hilarious that they're saying like, hey, how can it be that anyone would push back against the Empire? This makes no sense. The Empire's here for their best benefit. I think it's just one line, little pieces like this. You can see both the news sources giving their take on it all. I think this is just a really well done way to set up how the galaxy is really watching what's about to go down on Gorman. And who is it that's watching and taking all this in? Edie Karn. She's eating it up, as is all of Coruscant, as they were going to all kind of come to believe the story that's being told to them, that Gorman is the one that needs to be put back in line, not the Empire. But we know Mon Mothma knows different. The lesson that's being learned here on Gorman is an important one. And Ryance knows it. He knows that everything being set up is a trap. He can see it coming. He knows that the Empire's been wanting a fight since day one. But the main problem is no one makes wise decisions when they've been making decisions emotionally, and they're not taking any time to think about it. This has been the plan all along. Get them angry, get them frustrated, buzzing around like a bunch of angry bees as you've been bothering the nest, so that no matter what happens, you know exactly how they're going to respond. They're going to respond emotionally. This is how the Empire gets what it wants. But wisdom comes with age. And this is why Ryance can see right through it. He's begging his daughter to say, don't do this. Stop it. You can stop it. It's all a trap. They've been wanting this from the beginning. And it just, again, as the episode starts, it's not trying to hide anything. It's not trying to be too cute. It's not trying to pretend like we don't know what's happening next. We obviously can see that it's a trap. We know that it's a trap. We know it's not going to go well. And so we're glued to what's going to happen next. Okay, two things happened on the way in the lead in as they're gathering folks to head into the square. The first is the way the camera lingered and the way that everyone else is kind of walking and moving is different than Loras. I'm not sure what he's going to do, or at least when I was writing my notes, I wrote down like something. He's going to do something. He's acting different. Now, obviously, after having seen the whole episode, I'm watching this my second time through. I know what's going to happen, but just the way that they kind of set it up with a little bit of a camera angle, a little bit of a smile on his face, really, I think was beautifully done. The other thing that I was wondering, and I've gone back and forth on this, I kind of know why they did it, but I don't necessarily fully agree, that as they're chanting and going towards the square, we are the Gore, the galaxy is watching, but they're chanting it in basic, not in the way that they've been talking all through up to this point. Now I get it, the galaxy is watching, they want them to be able to hear what they're saying, but at the same point in time, it didn't need to be that way. I think they could have just continued chanting in their mother language, their mother tongue, so to speak. But when I felt that way, I didn't realize what was going to happen next. So I think it really was to set, they're cheering and chanting in basic so that when they start singing, it kind of impacts and hits and feels very different. Sirill has joined the walk as he's making his way to the IOC building, but on his way, he's met by Ryance. Sirill pulls him aside as he's saying, "How dare you walk our streets?" And we have this little back and forth where Sirill is starting to put the puzzle pieces together. Not everything is adding up the way he was told it would. Sirill still just believes the story he was told, which is his job was there to try and keep out outside agitators, which when you start to think about it just really doesn't add up for Sirill, but he is a good soldier. He's doing what he's told, and now for the first time he's starting to question, what lies has he been told? It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense, especially if the rumors are true about the mining equipment. And then as Sirill walks away, you can hear Ryance say, "What's in our ground? What are you trying to steal from us?" They don't even understand or know about the calcite. They aren't even aware that calcite is important. They don't realize that anything is in the ground other than what the spiders have been doing. So this mineral that is in their ground is just even unknown to them as well. It's already out of Dedra's hands. She has this back and forth with the captain. He's saying like, "Hey, don't be too far away because you're the one who says yes on the trigger. I've done everything else, so you need to be here close by." He knows what's happening. She knows what's happening. He's just ready to finish this and go home. And Dedra, you can see the pain and the anguish on her face, kind of questioning if this was the right thing. Is this really the best way to go forward? She knows it is, but she's worried what she might lose. And then as Cassian is checking out, he's realizing that this bellhop has been more on his side all along, as he was never even checked in to the system, so he would never have been caught. Cassian says, "I hope it works out well for you." And the response from the bellhop echoes into Rogue One.
I hope things work out for you.
Rebellions are built on hope.
Rebellions are built on hope.
Yes, that's the same line that Jen Erso is going to say as well, that rebellions are built on hope. And it's a beautiful callback. I do love that Cassian is hearing this now, implanting that seed so that when Jen Erso is the one saying it, it kind of hits again. Again, these are some of the ways that Tony Gilroy has said, even watching Rogue One after this isn't going to be the same. And it's little things like this that get put in. Now, there's more coming in this episode that connect to Rogue One. So let's keep rolling. I also love this little moment that as Cassian is walking up the steps, he almost bumps into Sirill. He's not going to recognize Sirill, but Sirill for sure would have recognized Cassian, and it's all kind of foreshadowing what's coming next. And there's so many little things like this built into Andor all over the place that you don't necessarily catch the first time, but then after the thing happens that's going to happen, you think back and go, oh wait, they were telling me about it all the way back before, and I love that little kind of like just hidden secret path that we've been given. We were shown it earlier in the episode with who's going to start the national anthem singing. We're seeing it here. Again, there's just so many times that Andor does this. Every frame, every little check-in, every little movement of the camera is actually purposeful and intentional. There's no wasted frames, no wasted moments. It's so refreshing because we've gotten so many times, particularly in other Star Wars shows, where many frames and scenes and whole storylines just feel like a waste. Phoebe, stop it. Go upstairs. Every time. Oh, my dog comes down. There's a bag of tennis balls down here, and she just keeps taking, I think there's like 10 tennis balls upstairs. I was going to say there's a moment as the square is filling up and the music and you can hear the horns, everything's kind of just building. And as the camera pans, it's showing all these different soldiers in different places. And then all of a sudden, again, I'm going to show you this brief clip. I want to explain it first and then show it to you. But basically what's happening is they're trying to build the tension of what's going on. And at this point, I don't think they've shown stormtroopers in the square, or at least they're going to set it up that it's like, oh man, we're seeing all these other guards, we're seeing all these ISB folks, all these others, and then like the camera starts to pan and the drums kick in right when you see a stormtrooper. Again, it foreshadowing what's going to happen, looking towards, hey, these are menacing. These aren't just dumb stormtroopers, but these are enacting fear into the people. They're being watched, they're being looked for, and we know what's going to happen pretty soon when the troopers are called to come in on the steps and close in on the square. Cassian is trying to connect with Will, but the comms aren't working. Sirill's trying to find his way into the building. Everything is starting to find its place as we slowly start to squish closer and closer to the IOC building. And then Cassian sees her. He sees how he's going to get his opportunity, pulls out his scope and kind of dials in. When Dedra comes out onto the balcony, he's going to get a shot. Again, we're getting ready. We know everything is getting in place. Little breadcrumb after little breadcrumb. Is this going to be the end for Dedra Meero? It feels like it very well could be. He couldn't get a shot from the balcony of his hotel room. I'm not quite sure why. It felt like if you just crack the window, sit back in the room, that's going to be the safest place and no one will know where the shot came from. Or maybe because she's no longer in her window. Instead, she's at the IOC building. I'm not quite sure why he can't get an angle for the shot. I haven't mapped out the whole square to see where it would be because I thought he would still be able to get a clean shot from where he was. One of the things I've really appreciated about Andor as a whole, going back to the first season all the way till now, is the way that they use TIE fighters to kind of bring about fear. You hear them before you see them, and the noise is eerie and scary, and it gets everyone to duck except kind of Sirill knows what's happening. And it's going to happen a few times in this episode. I think it's a really good use to just heighten everything. Of course, the TIE fighters aren't going to just start shooting into the ground, but they're patrolling. They're there. They're always kind of circling like vultures in the sky. And they definitely have this ominous feel to everything that's happening. And it's a really good use of these starships. It definitely heightens the sense of fear with everything going around, especially being able to use that iconic sound. Sirill makes it into the building to go see Dedra, but he's ushered into a back room instead of upstairs where Dedra is. And when he walks into the room, what does he see? A bunch of K2 droids and some other not so much hostages, but others who have been told, hey, just go back here, sit down, and wait. Again, foreshadowing some of the things that might come up next. Those K2 droids are eventually going to come out of there and do what they need to do. Sirill is understanding that, hey, things are not the way they appear. This is a trap. This is a setup. Ryance was correct that this has all been brought about not by outside agitators, but instead being agitated by the Empire. He's starting to think and wonder. He's questioning everything. And like on Morlana 1, he can't give it up. He's not just going to take, hey, be quiet, this is what's happening, as a sufficient answer. He's going to push for more. This is exactly what I thought was going to happen, that they had created some fall guys who are going to go out into the crowd and get beat up by the crowd. I wasn't quite ready for what was about to happen, but they're being forced into a patrol out in the crowd to keep open the memorial that they just pulled the barricades back from, allowing it to be closed. All of this is an elaborate setup, and they're sending these children, these not ready and pretty much useless soldiers out into the crowd to be the sacrificial lamb, to be the ones that take the blaster fire, so that there can be a justification in the martial law, the martial overtake of Gorman. All of this just to get some Calcite out of the ground. For 12 minutes, everything has been starting to swell. The music has been intensifying. The chanting has been getting louder. And it was going from the 8-minute mark all the way now to where we're about the 20-minute mark in the episode, all to the point where now it drops out. We are the Gore, right? It's this moment that I think just starkly contrasts what had just been happening. It's the breath that we're taking before everything is going to go crazy, but it's also the opportunity to try and calm down the crowd and focus the energy into something more positive. The Gore aren't looking to start the violence in this instance. They're just there, and that's where it's going to take someone from the outside to be able to bring this all about. But I think just the way that this was done, the way that this was crafted and put together, I'm just going to say it feels like the entire language of the Gore was made for this moment. It was made for this moment, for them to be able to sing together their national anthem. You see Loras take off his hat as he's kind of getting ready to start all of this, and it's Enza who joins in, and they're all together standing there starting to sing, and slowly the chanting dies off and the singing picks up. Now this is going to be what is carrying us through. As that happens, Sirill Karn is sneaking upstairs as they're all singing and it gives us a chance to breathe before the rest of the episode just picks up and flies. So Sirill makes it all the way upstairs and they have a conversation. Well, it's more like Sirill is confronting Dedra. More of a confrontation than a conversation. And he says, tell me what's going on. Why are the mining ships here? Don't lie to me. I'll throw you out the window. Sirill is frustrated and upset because he's now realizing that what his mom has been doing throughout his whole life, trying to control him, is exactly what Dedra has been doing. This is why Sirill can't just sit by and allow it to happen. He can't just go, yes, we can be together. It's okay. I can get past this. He can't. And so instead he walks away, frustrated, angry, realizing that everything he was told is a lie. Not even Dedra's convincing, hey, you love the promotions, didn't you? Could convince him to stay. And now is the question, what is Sirill going to do? He's going rogue. Is he going to try to stop it? Is he going to do something crazy? This is the point where I was like, this is the wild card. I don't know what's actually going to happen. I kind of know that there's going to be some stuff that goes down otherwise, but this was the wild card that I wasn't quite sure what was going to go down. I love that we don't actually hear the call that Pendergrass and Dedra have. Instead, we're shown the crowd. We're shown it getting like more intense. We're showing the patrol pushing out into the crowd. And then when we come back to Dedra, she takes off her headphones and can't even say the orders. She knows what this means. She knows what's going to happen. And she knows Sirill is out there also. Order is then given to the sniper on the roof to fire at will, but he's not going to fire into the crowd. He's going to take out one of those soldiers. That then allows the sergeant to say fire at will to all of his soldiers. So it's this moment where the sniper takes out an Imperial soldier so that the Imperial soldiers who don't know what's going on start firing into the crowd and thereby escalating the situation, and there's no going back now. Someone's taken out from up top on the memorial, and then all of a sudden all hell breaks loose and everything is going crazy. We cut to a shot of Sirill just kind of recognizing what's happening as the chaos is around him. This kind of tight close-up look at his face kind of just shows us his brain thinking. He's going through all of this, recognizing the role that he's played in this situation, and realizing that the outside agitators were really the Empire all along. And then through all the chaos, we get a Molotov cocktail, and then the camera pans to the captain, Scarface, hanging out back in the lobby with a grin. He knows he's done his job masterfully, and the rebels have played their part and fallen for the trap. Cassian is trying to line up his shot. The bellhop is up to something, and it's time now for the K2 droids to step out and put everyone in their place. And boy, do they ever. Kicking barricades, throwing people everywhere, taking blaster fire. They're seemingly indestructible. But in the middle of all of it, what do we have? We have the quiet, calm picture of Sirill Karn just taking it in. Like his ears ringing after an explosion. Everything is just a blur around him as he can't believe what he's seeing. And then we have the explosion. The grenade is thrown from the bellhop behind the desk, destroying the front of the building and killing a bunch of stormtroopers on the way. And now things are getting even more chaotic. And then Sirill looks over and he sees Cassian Andor, and something in his brain breaks. I don't think he actually notices that he was taking aim at Dedra. I think he just saw Cassian and starts running. They would have shown one more camera angle shot of him kind of looking up at where Dedra was, seeing that that's where Cassian was aiming. I think he just saw Cassian and was like, I need to finally do something. And he puts up a really good fight. They're going back and forth. Cassian gets hit in the back, head smashed on the ground. Everything is going kind of Sirill's way. A grenade explodes, knocks them all down, and Sirill then has Cassian right where he wants him, ready to take the shot. But it's Ryance who steps in and finally finishes it off, and Sirill dies. But not before Cassian looks him right in the eyes and says, "Who are you?" Clearly not recognizing Sirill, and almost a confused, frustrated look on Sirill's face. And then he dies. And then immediately cut to Dedra, who is upstairs watching this all unfold. And so as Cassian and Wilmon are trying to escape the city, it becomes clear that Wilmon wants to go back for his girlfriend. He's not going to leave her behind. He's going to go be with the Gorman rebels. He's found something that means more to him. And as that's happening, we see a K2 droid chasing them down. Cassian helping those trying to get away, and he stands his ground, opening fire. Wilmon opening fire. It's not until a stolen Imperial vessel, truck, whatever it is, rams into the K2 droid, killing it into the wall, that Cassian is saved. This is the opportunity for Wilmon and Cassian to say goodbye, hugging each other, saying stone and sky for Ferrix, reminding Cassian to go tell others what really has happened here. Cassian gets in, but before he gets in, he has an idea. He wants to take that droid with him. So they help him load him up. And now we know which droid will turn into K2SO. I'm still under the opinion now, even more than ever, that he's going to meet back up with B2 at some point and give B2 a new body. I I think this type of thing just shows it even more, but I'm not quite sure. I'd also kind of had a thought that it sounded similar to the computer that was in Luthen's ship, but with the break between Luthen and Cassian, I don't see that happening. It's more likely that Cassian ends back up on Mina Rao somehow. As that all happens, Cassian's driving away, hearing the radio message that is going out to all the people of Gorman, trying to get out to the wider galaxy, explaining what's really going on. This is the opposite of the propaganda. This is the truth of what's happened, that they were incited into violence, and this is murder. Then we flash to a scene of Dedra. She's pulling at her collar. She's freaking out because she knows Sirill is dead. How do I know that she knows? The scene that comes right after it, where Edie Karn is sitting in her apartment, not alone, with two friends, watching the broadcast, listening to them talking about the heroes making their final journey home. This is the first time we've seen Edie with anyone that we would maybe call friends. She has a tear going down her cheek. They're there not just to see the news and watch it together. They're there because they're consoling a grieving mother. She's realizing, and she knows, she's heard the news that Sirill is one of the ones that died. Just like Dedra knows Sirill is one of the ones that died. And so we're going to have to wait and see what happens next. I'm very interested to see how Dedra handles this, being the fact that she realized, I think, that Sirill was the reason she wanted to exist at all. She loved him, and everything she was doing was for them to have a future, that this was all to be for their good. They were going to get to go back to Coruscant, be together, because that's what they want. Now that's ruined. Now, does she turn back into the Empire and go full bore after the rebels, or is her commitment wavering? Be very interesting to see what happens in the next arc. Okay, one of the things I loved about this episode is that this is the second episode of a 3-episode arc. If I'm being honest, I didn't think we would see the Gorman massacre this episode. I thought this would be another setup episode for everything to come to a head in the 9th episode. Now I'm kind of thinking, what the heck is going to happen next? I love that we get to see the domino effect of what happens in the fallout immediately following this massacre. We're going to see the response of the rebels. We're going to see the response of Mon Mothma. We're going to see the response of the Empire, as now they can go in, issue martial law, go take the Calcite, and we don't have to do the 1-year time jump like we just did at the beginning of this arc. So we're going to see a lot of that. I'm expecting Coruscant to be the next place where we see a lot of these things go down. Maybe even Cassian going to get B2 from Mina Rao. I'm kind of hoping, as I had mentioned, I think he's going to use K2's shell and put B2 in there. There were so many just amazing shots and moments from this episode. The conflict between Sirill and Cassian, the K2 droids coming out onto the battlefield. You saw Ryance kind of taking out Sirill Karn. You've seen the emotion with Edie and Dedra. But my favorite moment was when everything built and built and built up to the moment that Loras started them singing the national anthem. I love that national anthem. And actually, I think there's a whole video I'm going to do about that and a comparison to Ferrix. So much interesting stuff about this world building. The way that Tony Gilroy and the writers and directors have made us care about Gorman and the people of Gorman has been masterfully put together, and the characters that they've put in are just very interesting. But I would love to hear what some of your favorite moments are. Did I miss something that you were like, hey, this was really important? Oftentimes I do, and you guys catch it. So please let me know down in the comments below. As always, my name is Jeremy. This is The Force Fandom. Thank you so much for being here. Please leave a like on the way out. And remember, the Force will be with you always.